In Korea, legend has it that any animal that eats mugwort and garlic together can transform into a human. So, two adorable bear cubs, by a twist of fate, chowed down on these magical ingredients and morphed into human forms, subsequently adopted by two vastly different families. Woongnami, the elder bear, has an adoptive father who was a zoologist, deeply intrigued by the evolution of wildlife. One day, he noticed the disappearance of the two cubs under his care and immediately set off with his wife to the cave in search of them. When they found Woongnami, he had transformed into a baby boy, his chest as fuzzy as a bear rug. Just then, the cave began to collapse, forcing the couple to scoop up the baby bear and bolt for their lives. Fast forward 25 years.
저것은 사람인가 곰인가? 야, 근데 진짜 아버지라니 진짜로 제 채널 걸고 저 주작 절대 안 합니다. 아니 못합니다. 이름 나웅남 나이 25 52세가 아니라 25 맞습니다. 전직 경찰 동남이 장수.
Despite his transformation from a black bear into a human, he retained the robust physicality of his former self, boasting acute senses of smell and hearing, and the strength to easily lift a mini truck that would otherwise require the collective effort of 5 or 6 strong men to budge. However, as a bear child, he had one glaring flaw. The onset of autumn and winter made him overwhelmingly sleepy, a trait that had his mother constantly dousing his hibernation plans with cold water. Woongnami also has a sister from another Mr. Na-rae, who grew up with him. She used to be a cop in Seoul, but after decking her superior, she was sent back to serve as a local officer in their town. Now a local cop, she spends her days tackling the village's perilous jobs to make ends meet.
보세요. 이런 거는 이렇게 도치로 이렇게 탁.
뭐야?
In times of crisis, it was up to the elder Woongnami, who could hear cries for help from miles away and rush to the scene at breakneck speed. Recently, with wild boars wreaking havoc on the village crops, Woongnami took to the mountains and captured 4 of them, giving them a stern talking to.
내가 없던 사이에 많이 빠졌네. 내려와서 땅 파고 그러면 니들 이미지만 안 좋아지니까 오지 마, 알겠어? 어쨌든 너네 배고파서 그러는 거잖아. 내가 매주 한 번씩 죽이턱에 먹이 뿌려줄 테니까 내려오지 마. 당분간 어디 안 간다 나. 아니 사실은 갈 데가 없어. 대산. 야, 니네 뭐 잊은 거 없어?
On the flip side, the second bear cub wasn't so fortunate. A mere sneak out for a pee led to his capture by a mob boss. After years of conditioning, Young-haek evolved into the mob boss's fiercest enforcer. One night, his transaction with a buyer fell through. As the latter attempted a double cross, swift as lightning, he obliterated the opposition, then left with the money in tow, making a grand exit. The sudden spike in fatalities immediately drew the attention of Korean authorities, sparking an investigation.
중국 쪽 애들과 마약 거래 현장에서 찍힌 증거 사진입니다. 현장에 남겨진 DNA를 국과수에 의뢰한 상태고요. 신원 이상입니다.
얼마나 걸려?
5분 이내라고 합니다.
원!
고맙습니다.
찾았습니다.
예, 국장님. 예, 알겠습니다. 전국에 사진 돌리고 공조수사 요청해.
네.
Meanwhile, Woongnami found himself relentlessly badgered by Malbon, who had recently fallen prey to gambling, squandering his mother's money. Faced with Malbon's persistent nagging, Woongnami let out a roar of frustration. With no other choice but to address Malbon's dilemma, Woongnami agreed to help him reclaim his losses. But as he settled down, a familiar scent hit him.
뭔가 친숙하고 익숙한 냄새가 나는데.
인간들 바로 돈 냄새나 맡아.
진짜 난다니까?
아니.
비가 없어서 농사를 하셔야지 왜 공사를 하셔? 야 잡아! 저기 도망간다 잡아! 싹 다 잡아! 싹 다 잡아!
That's when the team leader stumbled upon Young-haek's wanted poster, finding the face oddly familiar. Thus, Woongnam found himself under police scrutiny. However, investigation revealed their mere physical resemblance. Moreover, Woongnam had served as a traffic cop, recognized as the ace of his team for his uncanny ability to detect alcohol consumption, identifying the exact beverage and its alcohol content without error. One wonders why he left such a commendable job. The reason ties back to his bear father eavesdropping on a call. Woongnam learned that a bear's lifespan caps at 25 years. With Woongnam hitting that age, the realization of his impending doom plunged him into sorrow. Not only did he weep profusely, but he also resigned from his job, choosing to devote his remaining days to honoring his parents. However, it turned out that what the bear dad meant was that bears reach sexual maturity at 3 years old, which is akin to a human being 25 years old. Initially, the police chief thought about releasing Woongnam, but then he had a second thought. This guy could be extremely useful. Recently, the police have targeted a mob boss who, on the surface, appears to be a renowned pharmaceutical businessman behind the scenes. However, he deals in contraband and is even plotting to develop infectious viruses and spread them abroad, aiming to profit from selling vaccines. The police have been collecting evidence of his crimes and discovered that his adopted son, Young-haek, looks identical to Woongnam. Consequently, they've decided to have Woongnam go undercover, swapping him with Young-haek and posing as Young-haek to gather the mob boss's criminal evidence and dismantle this evil empire. As a former cop, Woongnam was electrified at the prospect of going undercover and reinstating his police identity. Woongnam then underwent secret training by the police, first and foremost memorizing that he was Young-haek.
너 경찰 어떻게 됐어 그러면?
아니, 처음부터 어떤 작전인지 말이라도 해주시지. 이렇게 머리 써야 하는 건 줄 알았으면 안 했을 텐데.
작전 설명 제대로 안 했냐?
While the police were at their wits' end, a female officer saw Malbon's live stream of Woongnam fishing and thought he might be able to help. So the police quickly brought in Malbon. The reunion of good brothers was naturally joyous. Although Malbon usually didn't do serious work, he could be a big help with exams since he knew Woongnam had excellent vision, which could facilitate cheating. Next came the second phase of training. The police spared no expense in hiring a martial arts master who had trained in boxing techniques. The final phase of training was about mastering the demeanor of the underworld. Woongnam had to exude an aura of extra ferocity to fit in with the mob. Meanwhile, the mob's second-in-command could no longer tolerate Young-haek's arrogance. Calling on a group of underlings to teach him a lesson, they hadn't expected Young-haek's combat prowess to be off the charts. Quickly dispatching these minions, just as he prepared to leave, the police arrived, intending to arrest him for brawling. Young-haek, daring to resist, faced the police's tasers, enduring 5 shots before finally collapsing. Subsequently, the police set a trap for the mob boss. They staged an ambush at locations frequented by the mob leader, planning for Woongnam to impersonate Young-haek to get close to the mob boss and obtain the virus, which would serve as crucial evidence for his arrest. Before Woongnam could even act, the mob boss sensed something was amiss and took off running. The police followed the mob boss to the docks, and with Woongnam's sharp sense of smell, they quickly located the mob boss's position. Woongnam bravely entered the warehouse, but his evasive glance gave him away, and he was immediately spotted by the mob boss. Five minutes later, everyone was down for the count. Just as Woongnam was about to nab the gang boss, Young-haek made his entrance, virus case in hand, ready to cover the boss's escape. When outmatched, he threatened to release the virus. Unable to persuade him otherwise, Woongnam charged at Yoonhaek. Despite Yoonhaek's combat experience, Woongnam was no match and nearly killed until Bear Dad's loud shout distracted Yoonhaek, giving Woongnam the chance to knock him over. However, the gang boss had already begun releasing the virus. To prevent the virus from spreading, Woongnam, full of remorse, bid farewell to his parents and heroically dove into the sea towards the depths, intending to neutralize the virus. Unexpectedly, a guilt-stricken Yoonhaek followed, seizing the virus case and diving deeper to detonate the virus bomb safely away. In the end, the gang boss was arrested by the police, and Woongnam got his badge back. But whether he's really Woongnam or Yoonhaek remains a mystery to this day. The story has an epilogue. Yoonhaek survived, now happily residing in a hospital with his newfound family, blissfully unaware of an impending wild boar vengeance looming on the horizon.
남이 이 새끼.